Alright guys, here's a quick rundown on this power wheelchair that I built. This thing started off life as a Jazzy Elite 14. A quick Google search would give you a picture if you really feel the need to figure out how much stupid stuff I did to this thing. Couple of quick specs. The chair originally had 3 inches of ground clearance. Currently we're closer to 6 3/4 inches. 4 miles an hour was the max speed originally. We think we're a lot closer to 7 miles an hour now. And a lot of that is due to a different controller that we put in there, but a lot of it's also this bigger tire. This thing originally had a 14-inch tall tire on it. This one is currently a 5.70 by 8-inch trailer tire. And this is quite a bit larger diameter tire than what I had started with, and that's a big reason why it's faster. That motor just doesn't know how fast we're trying to go. All it's doing is just, spinning at a certain RPM. So these tires are a bit wider than the stock ones, so I would have had an issue with this tire rubbing on the motor, but what I realized is if I just flip this wheel around on the hub, that I got enough back spacing to clear all the stuff that we had going on there. So originally, if we look at the inside here of the other wheel, that's the original outside of the wheel. You can see that's the shiny part. We don't get to see that anymore. We just get to look at the nasty side, but whatever, it's fine with me. To make that happen though, this center hub here, this diameter here didn't go all the way through. I had to finish machining this all the way through, and then each of these 4 holes I continued the drill all the way through, and then had to run the tap all the way through there to be able to flip that wheel around on the hub that all that amounts to. So yeah, kind of lucky that happened to be all that I needed to do. I'm glad I didn't have to space it out a lot farther to get the clearance I needed. That taller tire is also a big reason for the ground clearance increase, but I've also got a spacer in here. That's just 3/4 inch clear plastic that I've doubled up on, so I got a 1.5 inch spacer there. So when you stuff it between the motor and the frame like that, it's basically just a body lift. It gives you a little bit of lift that way. So yeah, bigger tires, body lift. That's where we get the bulk of the lift and the speed. On the back here, we've just got some cheap $6 Harbor Freight casters. These things didn't fit in the stock forks, so you can see we chopped one side off, extended the other side, reinforced a little bit, welded a bolt in there to make a single-sided swing arm for it. I was really concerned that was going to bend and give me problems. So far it hasn't, although yeah, it's probably only a matter of time. The chair never did have suspension on it, so what I did is I cut this tube here, added these flat bars here, and then this rear tube I extended this with a piece of plumbing pipe, and then ultimately gave this thing a stretch as well. So this thing's about 6 inches longer than it used to be, and now I've got that joint where we could put these real cheap $9 Amazon mountain bike shocks on there. So they don't function very well. I didn't engineer this thing to be some real crazy crawling type of a thing. I did it just as a trash build, just for attention. So that it does do it. It's an attention getter. A lot of people think that this thing's silly. So take a look quick under the seat here. This battery is a lot bigger battery than what was originally in here. This is currently a Group 34 battery. The Group 34 batteries and the Group 24 batteries are actually the same length and width. They're just a different height. So both the 34s and the 24s fit in here. The original battery was a Group 22NF battery, which was a 55 amp hour battery. This 34 that's in here now is a 65 amp hour battery, and then those 24s over there, those are a 75 amp hour battery. The amount of amps doesn't do anything for speed. It's only for distance. This gives you more range per charge. So I don't have any idea what the range is on this thing. We drive it too crazy to worry about the range. Range would be improved upon if I didn't have all the settings cranked way up and make it just handle like a race car. So we're not too concerned about it, but we did want to add some capacity there. So originally both batteries were in here this way. To even get this one battery in there to go in there that way, I had to cut this this battery tray a little bit to get that battery to clear what was originally down there. And now you can see, I mean, there's almost very little, almost no room between that battery and the motor and the frame there. They just barely fit in there, but it does fit. The back one just wouldn't have fit in there. This this down bracket right here comes in and down, and then the way that I've got some of this other stuff going, it just wouldn't work. So I took some, just some L bracket there and trimmed it and made a new battery mount for that rear battery, and you can see we had to change the orientation to get it in there. But really, they ride in there pretty good. It works. So if you guys don't know anything about joysticks and wheelchair electronics, these ones are made by, there's a Shark joystick. It's made by a company called Dynamic. They make parts for a lot of different wheelchair manufacturers. So even though this is a Elite 14 made by a company called Jazzy, these are actually parts off of an Invacare chair, the joystick and the control module. They just happen to fit in there just the same way. And these ones got me the voltage I needed to increase the speed just a little bit. So the module is this guy right down here. That's the one that actually does the controlling. I went through, 4 different modules trying to find the right one. We thought we had a good idea of how those things worked, and until we just started messing with them, we just didn't quite get it figured out until the trial and error phase was done there. So we're still tweaking on this thing. If I can find some 4-pole motors, I might have to switch controllers again just to get the speed that we're after. So who knows, this thing might not be done. So when I made the backrest here, I did just use some square tubing. This wasn't intentional, but after I got done with it, I realized that by using square tubing, now I've got a spot where I, could mount these shelf brackets here. And then with those shelf brackets on there, we can add and remove just about any accessory we want. So we started building, stupid accessories. So this one here, this is our cooler attachment. This, fits in those shelf brackets there. So now we can take a cooler with us wherever we go. We also fabbed up this liquor cabinet attachment here. So this one's pretty awesome. We can take, 5 bottles of booze with us now. This one also just so happens to fit underneath the beer pong table that we made for this thing. So over here we've got this folding beer pong table. It's about 5 foot tall the way it stands, but then once we unfold the actual playing surface, and then we've got a little spot here where we can put a leg on it. So it's about 8 foot once those are out and the legs are on it. And it's just silly. It's fun for the sake of being obnoxious. So there's a little rundown on this thing. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions about it. If you want some help with your own build, I'd be glad to talk to you a little bit about it. So I appreciate you watching. Thanks.